on pins and needles.
I understand.
I'm not going to lie. I believe today may be Jim Harbaugh day. I'm just getting the sense, my ears to the ground. I hear from a lot of people in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I know some folks here in Los Angeles as well.
People all around the world.
I've got that feeling. I've got that feeling. Today is the day.
I can feel it.
That we're going to hear from Jim Harbaugh one way or another. I'm hearing he hasn't decided. He may be within striking distance of a contract with the Chargers, according to Mike Garafolo of NFL Network. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talks joining us in hour number 3, and this thing may have popped by then. I also hear from some friends involved in a certain national championship football program that Jim is still talking to Michigan too. And at some point,
leverage.
I just and by the way, bless him. Whatever makes Jim, whatever makes you happy. That's where I'm landing on that. And
You're definitely leaning towards one way of happiness.
Well, I mean, listen, I will totally understand it if he's like, hey, the Chargers offered me a gajillion dollars, and yes, Michigan offered me a gajillion dollars, but I hung the banner in my alma mater's stadium, and I will always come back and look at that and be part of it. And when the Chargers visit Detroit, I'll stop by and say hi. Take everyone for cheeseburgers, wink, nod, hey, this is what I did. I hung this banner. That flag you'll see on top of Michigan Stadium where I was a starter once upon a time. That's something I helped put up there with Team 144. And for that, I am eternally grateful. I mean, Susie and I took the kids and one of our nephews, Jack, to the Rose Bowl and watched that all play out in front of us. Retired Nick Saban, who knew at the time.
True that.
I couldn't be more ecstatic. But if he comes back and says, I want more, I'm like, okay, let's saddle up, because this guy has definitely helped crack a code that it seems so many other coaches in college football are either having trouble cracking or are trying to figure out, just like Michigan figured out what the last 3 years are. And bless him if he says the Lombardi Trophy and the chase of it and going to a league where there's actual rules surrounding free agency, doesn't appeal to me as much as it does to go back home to Michigan, then I'd be ecstatic too. Whatever makes him happy. I want him happy. I want him happy.
Do you want to know? Or?
It's not in your script, sir, because I'll tell you, there's one thing that both everybody says to me on either side of this equation. It all boils down to, you think? Yeah, I think so. And then it's like, really? And they're like, with Jim, you never know. Honestly, everybody says that at the very end. With Jim, you never know.
Man drinks whole milk. You can't try to figure out anything that happens.
Now, did he not used to drink whole milk because, the cows are lazy animals? You know what I mean? Like, with him, you don't know. Didn't he, honestly, once upon a time, he doesn't eat chicken because it's a nervous bird. Now you're hearing how players stop by in his spot in Ann Arbor and see him feed chickens in his backyard. No one knows.
I don't know.
But it works. His kind of crazy works. I love his crazy. I love it.
Yeah, you can't deny that wherever he goes, he wins. And he turns places around.
Yes.
And then he kind of has a weird exit. And then that's where we're at.
You know who had that? Parcells.
Yeah. And I think it was Albert Breer who's kind of routinely called him the modern-day Parcells. And I kind of think that's spot on.
Jeez. So, and you can't blame the Chargers either. Can't blame the Chargers. Hey, Justin Herbert's in his second contract, so we got to go. We got to figure out how to fill out a roster with now a second contract for our quarterback as opposed to his rookie deal. And who better to figure out this equation than somebody who did it at the collegiate level? And you're seeing all these coaches potentially want to get out of college football because who knows how this world works. So I'm like a chicken. I'm a nervous bird sitting here right now, waiting for my and I see Sharon Moore trending on Twitter, X. And I hit it thinking, okay, so what happened? Is Harbaugh decided? Because Sharon Moore is definitely, in the mind's eye of Wolverines, the clearer choice to succeed Jim if he does, in fact, go to the pros. because he's the one who took over the program last second in Penn State and obviously got through the trap game in Maryland before beating Ohio State and keeping that winning streak alive and putting Michigan in the college football playoffs as the 1 seed and then dialing up a whole bunch of plays in the Rose Bowl. I hadn't seen them run all year long, and then taking care of business in the national championship game on the offensive side of the football when everything came down to it, because the defense kept him in a game. And it seems that if Jim goes to the Chargers, he's taking defensive coordinator Jesse Minter with him. And if Jim stays, Jesse Minter may say, I want to go to the pros. Look at what Mike McDonald, his predecessor, is doing. He's in the the American Football Conference Championship game. He's the one who's going to have to try to crack the Mahomes code this weekend. The defensive coordinator, who's also interviewing for jobs in the NFL. And the Packers just fired Joe Barry, as many Packers fans were pounding the table for much of December and early January. They need a defensive coordinator. Look, there's a lot of pieces up in the air. But the one thing that I do know about Michigan season is, one, it made me very happy. And two, it's made Ohio State apparently spend like sailors on shore leave to keep their team. There's an article in today's Wall Street Journal that says the Ohio State Buckeye Collective amassing and spending millions of dollars to put a roster together for The Ohio State University. The headline was, Michigan won a national title. This team is spending to make sure it doesn't happen again. That's the headline in the Wall Street Journal. And Bruce Feldman strolling into the studio. By the way, I'm not. That's
a good headline.
Joking.
Yeah.
The great Bruce Feldman, in his usual Wednesday spot, will stop in here. And maybe, just maybe, Jim Harbaugh will make his announcement as Bruce is sitting here. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.